Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's time once again for a recurring guest. This is our mission after episode 100 is to have some of the legends of the CryptoManiacs podcast. It's definitely not Task and I. I mean, let's be brutally honest. We're just the sideshows, right? You ever notice that? Like people don't come for us. Not at
No,
all.
I mean,
No.
look at
Well,
our
definitely.
Friday episode versus Tuesday episode. It's like we get like 500,000 on Friday, and we get what, about 32 million on Tuesday. So I mean, it's obviously not us.
Well, it's definitely not me. It might be Task, but it's definitely for our guest welcoming back the creator, the developer of Exode, Lindos, and then we're gonna do a little golf clap for you. Welcome,
Thank
welcome,
you, thank
sir.
you.
This is number 3 or 4 for him. Task?
I think it's three.
Three.
He hit us
Oh.
up like twice in 3 weeks or something. So he was pretty quick there, and then I think he had another one. So I don't know. Did you
I
get your
was
badge, Lindos? Did you get your badge?
yes, I saw that I had one, yes, and I'm very pleased. And now I'm going to ask to PicD on all the social pages on Hive to know how to select the badge that you want to put first and the badge that you want to put second, and to have more value to display our badges, because now I'm interested in that. And and yes, thank you for that. And I wanted to say that it's an honor for me to be here, because you are doing that and doing great service to the blockchain and to our community here. And it's always nice, to be gathered together in this objective, to talk about the blockchain, to talk about blockchain gaming, and to talk, of course, about Exxon, because I can talk about Exxon all days and nights of a year if we would let me.
Oh,
So
we
thank you
didn't
for
tell
this
you.
honor. It is great to be here with you guys, and I look forward to this moment.
We're sorry, Exo. We should have mentioned before we went on air. We're not talking about Exo today, Lindos. We're just going to talk about the collapse in cryptocurrency pricing.
Oh yes, right.
That's
Yeah.
Oh
on
yes,
John's mind.
the beer
Now,
market.
John
Yes.
is upset about that. Now, look at that face. He's been watching every tick over the last 48 hours. I mean, John watches that stuff like a
Oh,
hawk.
dude, yeah, and while I'm refreshing my MetaMask to see if a transaction has gone through or not.
Uh, I think it's actually not the thing to do, because you can just let this pass over and continue doing what you do, what you have always done. But you are doing that too. Yes, there is a bear market of sorts at the moment, but actually, I was going to say something that is not true. I was going to say, but I don't care. I just work the same way. But it's not really that. Of course, I take a look at it, say, "Oh, what happened again? Why are people suddenly believing? Oh no, I don't want Bitcoin. Oh no, I don't want that. Or what? I don't want. Why is it dropping the currencies like crazy?" And making other people fear about it. But the truth is, this is away from us. I mean that it's not exactly the high powers that be that determine the future of the other big currencies out there, and they are doing their thing for others that are called systemic thing in the world, and ourselves we are building. We are working on what we do, and the bear market is not bad for us. I mean, we price our assets in USD, and nothing has gone down in Exode. So, and I don't think anything has gone down also in the real value of things on Hive that are priced in USD. So we just continue building value. So, and the bear market is actually an opportunity for people to enter the blockchain normally, and we never have enough people on blockchain, so to speak, or enough people on Hive. So it's time to board, guys. It's time to take Hive coins. I've multiplied by it went over $3 one time last year, something like that, over two. It quickly rise, and it also rise so in the comparison to Bitcoin. So time to take some altcoins, guys.
Well, I imagine you look at the crypto market, you say oy vey, and then you go back to writing code because that's what you do is you write code and you get back to developing and building. By the way, before we get into the game, did you send out the links to the feed to your Did John send those to you to get your Twitter links out and stuff to your following?
I told them to check John's Twitter.
Okay.
So I tagged everyone, I tagged all the people on my Discord to do that. So some will wake up later, some will come, oh, well, I forgot there was something going on. But I already
they want to
people in the chat here.
Yeah, if they want to chat, they can go to YouTube. Sorry, it took me a second there. I had a little bit of a brain fart. So I'll put the link up there.
On Twitter, John?
Yeah, I didn't put it on Twitter. I just put it in chat there that you can't see because my image is in front. But I'll put it out there. Oops, no, geez, I'm full of it today. Look at the people that are listening to the podcast are not seeing my amazing technical display right now. But there we go.
Give John a break. He's only probably been awake for about 22 minutes. I mean, it's
1 hour exactly, literally an hour ago. Yeah, 1 hour. Yeah.
You know, and Lindos is ready to eat dinner.
Yes.
Well, it's not my fault about time zones. Like I didn't create these lines in the sand, and
you were just the one who decided to move all the way as far left as you could go without a life raft.
Dude, it's sunny here. I guess that's it's cold, but it's sunny. So
it is May after all. I mean, you know.
So did you get that link, Lindos?
I shared it on Discord too.
Okay.
Keep it from the chat to the right here.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Sorry. There's my Canadianisms coming through. Yeah. No. So I guess we dive into it. Because I don't know about you guys, but I could sit there and talk about the bear market all day. I'm so thrilled with crypto Twitter these days, talking about how, everyone's working at McDonald's again. Like, come on, guys, get a new joke, it's ridiculous. Anyways, what's going on, man, with you? How you, it's been a couple months since you've been on. What's,
we must phase in with rerolls and things. So of course we have to break more coins to do that. But ultimately, the solution to bear markets for project owners is just to build more value. It's the right time to launch things, but in Exode we never rush into selling. I've never rushed into beta. I've never rushed into releasing a new collection or selling something new. In fact, we have hit our booster sales at some point last year. We have never made something new to sell because I wanted to complete alpha first. But for many project owners, it's also time to sell things because you just have more crypto coins. So for project owners, it's time to create, it's time to sell. For people, it's time to take Hive coins. So it's really something a bit difficult for people owning a lot of coins because they see a lot of value going down, of course. So it's time to have put up your security measures with having some USD to take points back. And it's time to continue to be. Blockchain is not going to go away. I mean, the public ledgers are here, our websites are here, the servers are here. It's not going down.
Yeah.
So let's continue.
When you say value, build value, that can be a very arbitrary term. You as a game developer, what does that mean to you, and what do you focus on when you say, okay, I need to add value to Exode? Where does your mind go to focus with that? What is it, with the way you develop the game itself? Is it the marketing of the game? Is it the network effect and the ecosystem that you're looking to build? Where does your mind go to when we say build value for Exode?
Yes, that's really a good one, because actually the term value in my mind does not have the same term as for marketing people or the people out there. Because in blockchain, for everyone, the public ledger is the same. If I say that someone has an NFT, it just means that they are a set of characters on the blockchain saying you have something. So in itself, this set of characters on the blockchain have no intrinsic value. What gives it value is what you can do with it, how it interacts with everything, including other people, how it interacts in a game. So when I say I build value, it means that I build value for the NFTs of people, a bit utility for them. And when I say I do that, it is because it is wrong to be always believing you are right in everything. So I often thought about it and I compared myself to the games. And recently I had many information that told me that yes, these ideas that were into Exod since the beginning are actually turning out to be actually good compared to other games. If you allow me, I will try to explain that a bit because it may be very complex to understand at first, but I will need a few words to set that up for people to understand what they are. So, take any game. In a game, you play, you trade something, can be a currency. So in that case, of course, the currency, if you create it directly, then people want to sell the currency to change it for something else that they can use. So the only objective of the currency in this case is to be sold. So of course, this doesn't go well often. So this is the first thing about Ponzi games, for instance. They have no duration in itself, so they must build something. And sometimes they sell too fast and they haven't built something yet. They haven't built enough duration in their utility, so it can fizzle. And then there are games where you can produce things with your stuff. And as I call these games layered, this means there are several layers of utility. There are very few games like that. But I know I've seen that Exod is one layer, but there are other games, of course, which are layered, fortunately. But I've seen that when you have layers, but all the market is identified, meaning there are resources which are known. For instance, there is one resource that is called metal, and people are selling metal. Then if there are 2 people trying to sell metal, of course, the thing goes down in value. So the fact there are identified resources, let's say 10 resources, 10 different resources, or 12 or 20, as long as you have more sellers than one in any resources, it goes down in price, of course. So the thing which is different in Exod is that players will be able to design their own resource and are the only ones able to produce it on their own planet. This means that every single resource in the game can have its own, cannot be directly compared with one another in the sense of saying, oh, I will take that from that seller because it's just the same thing, the exact same thing, and the price is better, so I take that there. So this means that the dynamic market of Exod means that the value can go up for something. There's no direct competition among sellers. It is more intricate than that. And this means that every layer in Exod will interact with the things you sell to give it value. So it's not just one seller of metal compared to another seller of metal and we take the one who sells it at this price. It is, you have to compare all kinds of utility on a resource. And this will prove, of course, it's very complex. So for gamers, they are not yet focused on that. But as a project owner, this is something that was in the design of Exod that I really found out that will make the game last on the market interesting because and with that. If the price of something goes down, then you earn less. If you earn less, your return of investment takes more time. So your risk increases as well. So for a player with things like not just like as a player, but who wants to invest, because he has assets, this is an important information. And myself, I have to be the protector of that value. I don't want people to lose value. As long as I can have ideas to make that happen, I don't want people to lose value. I would feel very bad if this happens.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I was just going to say, so what do you do first and foremost to try to prevent that? Obviously, as we know, there's swings in markets, especially a very non-liquid market, which, a lot of the cards are. The game is still in very early stages of development. You don't have a ton of players per se. So how do you maintain, or what do you focus on specifically to try to maintain that value for those who've invested and started playing the game already?
So it's true that Exod already took value perhaps also thanks to the good community or what was there as far as features go in Exode already, because things haven't gained any value yet in Exode, despite the fact that I have to release layers step by step. So it takes time, and sometimes I see something that is not working the way I wanted because we want also an immersive experience, want something fun to play. And sometimes I have to refine that, so I lose more time into it. Uh, I think players are really there is something in Exode is that players have a varied collection. There are 380 different card templates. There are when I release features, I already see how it interacts with the collection, and people can anticipate what it will become, and they see the little niches appear for every single card. In Exode, there are 18 factions. There is a synergy system in a faction. That means that you want to have more cards of one faction. You don't want to have less cards in a faction. And when I released the faction power update, it was 2 weeks ago, the people could see how many cards they had in any faction and how much faction powers it was giving to them, and how much faction coverage they had. So this encourages them to collect more. So of course there's the collector aspect, but you also may want to choose which factions you want to focus on. The faction system is only one thing. There is also a collection of skills in cards. There are colonies, there are roles, which means the job you give to your characters in a colony that depends on their skills. So everything it has with each other. Every card becomes its little niche. So you have this card which can become the good colony administrator, this one which can become the good scout, this one could become the good guard. And you have also access to all these basic features just with a starter. So it's okay to play with $10. It's okay to reinforce your deck as well. So far, I haven't been put in danger regarding the features planned or the value in player collections. That does not mean that I'm going to rest on this, of course. I must continue working. I must even deploy features faster because this is something that I would like really to do. But it's working. It's really working. It's good to see or to try to understand why it works so as not to break it. And I'm really positive about that, you notice. Because, it's like when you work something that seems to be a bit more important than yourself. You know what I mean? So you see that finally the concept you had, the vision you had, you are working for it. You are not exactly working for yourself. Yeah, you want to make it complete as well. And it seems to be a rewarding experience as a project owner, as a creator, because it seems to stand well on its own. I also think we are in a good community here, because if there was people complaining all the time about where is play to earn, I want play to earn now, where is that, it would be very stressful. But we have a supportive community as well, and I don't want to break that either.
When we spoke last time, you seem to have a very measured approach about things. You're you're not operating under a sense of urgency. Now that doesn't mean that you're dilly-dallying around. It's just you're not rushing things. You're taking your time. You understand the process that's ahead of you, and your development timelines. And obviously, you convey that to your community members. And you're not looking at, and this is probably most important, you're not looking at growing too quick and too fast, because that, like you said, can lead to all of a sudden everybody saying when's this next phase coming in, and things of that nature. Are you content right now with a small but dedicated community, understanding that, and maybe there's a second question contained in here, that if it's still accurate, you're probably looking at another year of development time before you get to the point where you can open it up to a larger audience? Is that an accurate assessment of Exode right now and over the next year, let's say?
So some of it is true. Some of it, on the other hand, is something I must handle better, because I think the players deserve to see some player growth really soon, because this will be this amazing moment of when they'll see the value of the investment also explode. And I don't want to keep people hostage, into Exodus, just saying, okay, you can't sell because there are not enough people to issue cards here. Things have taken value because people don't want to sell their cards at the moment. But my mission is also to bring players. But at the moment, if I would have brought large influx of players, there will be different kind of players interested. And most of the growth in blockchain is done with play-to-earn, the play-to-earn coverage that people give to people and saying, okay, you can log in and earn money 10 minutes after or 1 hour after. So you can invest more, then the next hour and earn more, and you can invest more the next hour and earn more, and it just literally explodes on itself. So I'm not interested into making Exod happen like that, being like a Ponzi. And I'm interested in protecting the value of our community as well. But my mission is to bring more players. So what will happen here is that we're still preparing for beta here. We're researching new cards for beta, but I want to complete the features of correlation first, to activate the full correlation rule, to see that everything fits. Because players, the more you have players, the larger your audience, the more things they want to work. And also I don't need to scale the same reports, you say maintenance reports all over the place. I need to, the steps that are planned are to enter beta and larger team, and then add players on larger team when we have players to make sure that that it stays good, and we keep our pace, we keep our progression, and we keep our ways to handle a larger community as well.
Very
So,
good. So
I
go ahead.
got a question about I remember you mentioning this about the play to earn stuff, and I'm just to refresh my memory mostly. Not who cares about the audience? I'm just worried about me. No, so
John, we're not supposed to say that on air.
I'm sorry. Are you planning EXO to be play to earn? So there's two questions. One, are you planning to eventually make it play to earn? If so, or if not, the reasons why. But also, if you are, what would be? Are you thinking of creating your own token for it? Like, what's your game plan to roll this out if you are going to do play to earn? And if you're not going to do play to earn, just the reasoning behind it.
Exod will activate its play to earn.
Mm-hmm.
The play to earn to resume again for the audience what happens in Exod. You take a starter, you receive cards. You say, okay, I want to start a new game. You put some cards into a starship. One of your cards is your starship, so you put crew members there and cargoes there. And you begin the game. Then you see what happens. You start an evacuation, we call it that way. And you see that things are happening, that the starbase is being shot, that it's very dangerous. You escape. Some people die there en route ride, but finally they escape. And then they have a planet, and their planet is theirs. So the play to earn in Exod, contrary to other play to earn that may be immediate in some games, requires you to try to survive on your planet, to mature your game a bit, and then you can start to sell things. And there are two ways to earn things in Exod. One is on your colony, by seeing what you produce. And another is when you earn your game, because then you gain experience on cards, and you can develop your cards the way you see. Still increasing on the niche aspect I spoke about, you can decide on some traits that other cards will not have, something to add on a character that other cards will not have, and make your card even more unique. And then you can have more value on your cards, so you can sell it. But you can also, while your colony is alive, continue selling what you produce on your colony. So when you exchange that, there is a token that is named Exofuel. And Exofuel will also be, you can earn it also in other ways. So there is ways to use your collection in what we call evacuation fleets. That is, staking your collection is something, but there will be some strategy involved, because I've seen how staking works in other games. It can be, first of all, a bit pay to win, and a bit wrong in long-term value. So I will try to make staking missions in Exod, but to make it fun, which means that, for instance, you have some kind of evacuation mission and you must put cards there, but Some also has to play escorts to protect you, and you choose with your friends who plays escort, who plays the cargo, and you have fun there. I want people to have fun with that because I think it will be fun to play to play that way. So there'll be other ways to gain token as well than just playing.
How many people are playing Exo these days?
So we have several ways to say that there is about 1,000 accounts in Exod, and people who have launched the Collision Challenge last time. So this is a good way to see who is really active because these people have to accept to participate into it, they have to register into the challenge. And we have nearly 200 accounts in the Collision Challenge at the moment. So this may look like not a big player base, but we are still in alpha. And I always say that during beta we'll add players. So what is interesting is that many things have increased value with a very stable population so far, multiplied by 5 or 10 for some things, which is amazing. So that's not the way I should sell exactly because I don't want to attract the people that wants to make a lot of money in a day. This happens over time as well. But we know that when we add players, there will be an immediate effect because the way the beta collection is done is it's very different content. There is something called contract cards, and contract cards which were sold for about $100, for instance. Some have been sold for $1,000 recently, so it took a lot of value on that side. We have not yet sold loans or other things that normally take huge value when a game takes value. Still haven't sold this or proposed this because we think that planets will be some kind of player-owned loans at some point as well. So it'll be interesting also to see how players make that right there.
So is that all done on like Hive, like you're when buying and selling in the market? Is that the currency used for it?
Yes, Hive is used there. And it is a new blockchain we use at the moment for blockchain currency, and it's so fueled. Our token will be also a token based on Hive. We had talks about Wax last year. We talked a lot about that, and we reserved a few last boosters for it. We understand that Wax is really a big community here, and they're not really used to games like Exod. And we wanted to, at some point last year, I had the choice to make between launching on Wax and selling these last boosters, which were not many, or focusing on our team's challenge here and trying to address some problems I had in raising our features better. And I thought that the Wax players would have been a bit stressed in the time for us to raise our features and refine them. We would have been put under pressure to make things happen faster. I did not have yet. I thought that they would have had to wait a few weeks before. We would have the question: is it play to earn right now? Because Wax players are really used to that. Also, you have several network things to check and to make sure they are very, very checked very well because there are also some hackers also there. So you have to make sure of many things, and this will cost you some momentum and put it first to finish deploying our features on a collision loop.
Nice. There you go.
Sorry for Wax players if you are part of the event, but also players were really looking forward to that. I know they could say, hey, I want to sell my boosters to Wax players. I want to sell my cards there, but really, I want our features to be done first as well. So I will get there. I will certainly get there, but when people will be happy.
There was something you mentioned, and I'm sure Task like kind of heard this too when you said, kind of like the mission is new players. New players. I mean, everything can be solved. All problems seem to be able to be solved with more players, more people in the community using the software, using the blockchain, et cetera, et cetera. What are some ideas you have, let's say, for getting new people to Exo to get the starter pack, get involved? What are some onboarding tactics, let's say, that you're looking into here?
One thing that will be, when I spoke about Wax players, actually, I I was thinking about the updates that are planned for the evacuation step, which is the first step in Exode, the first gameplay steps that you have. And I thought that there were updates to do that there. So I do not want to postpone colonization to work on evacuation, which is the first game scene. But I will update that, and what it will be refined enough, I will get to Epic Games Store. You know, they welcome indies and creative games, so I will get to them and show them Exode as a game it is. And there will be an in-game onboarding process to the blockchain that will be invisible to them. So ultimately, this is the steps that I will deploy. Before that, there will be the usual addition. For instance, when we have wise players, there will be a huge boost in players. But we have also to make sure, when you receive someone, that you can make them understand of how Hive works and participate into Hive as well. So for all players, even if they come from other blockchains, or if they come from an in-game onboarding process, we have them to try to value what they are and what they do on Hive, which means showing them their wallet, maybe implementing some interactions with it, having some notifications of things that we could put in game too. So after that, we will work on that to make the blockchain more interactive with our in-game content. So these are plans that I think will be effective as much as Exode will be attractive to them. So since there is one thing in Exode, this is the reason why we wrote a game manifesto wanted to identify our values very early. Exode is a unique experience and an immersive experience. It's what we want to bring to players. And this quality, which is based on music, on atmosphere, etc., is something that we are trying to keep really at our core values. And I think it will be really nice as a game for players. Often the feedback we have is that it's a bit like the game in the 90s, which has a strong identity. Every skin was a bit different from another. We have some of that. Maybe because we are indies, so like the people in the 90s who in the game, so to speak, in our garage. But we have some of that, and people like that. People like to find a game that is different for them.
And it's very interesting that you said that, because I believe it was John, you mentioned it to me, but maybe it was I read it as a comment somewhere. But anyway, came across somebody who was playing Splinterlands for a long time, like 7, 8, 9 months. And that person wasn't even aware that this whole other ecosystem existed outside of Splinterlands, which is fine. Splinterlands does their marketing. They bring in people. Those people want to play Splinterlands. But Splinterlands has its own Splinter Talk. They have their own blogging platform where you can go and talk about Splinterlands and earn SPT. And this person wasn't even aware of that, let alone 3Speak or Leo Finance or Exode or anything else that is tied to this ecosystem. And to me, I found that very interesting, because I think part of the idea or the value of a Hive account. So if I come in through Exode, yes, I want to play through Exode. I saw a trailer that you put together. I found something. I end up on your site. Okay, the game looks interesting to me. But then if you start hitting me up with, but by getting your Hive account, now all of us, or your Exode account, or whatever you want to call it, it's a Hive account, but like you said, it'll happen in the background, so they won't even be aware of it. But by using this, by having this account, you have access to all this other stuff. To me, that's a value added that games and applications and project teams have to do nothing for, because it's all accessible with our Hive account and our keys. So this idea of why not leverage that, and Splinterlands, I think, I mean, it's hard to say Splinterlands is doing a disservice to themselves about anything, but I think it does a disservice to themselves when they don't lock in their players by saying, look at all this other stuff you have. And yes, you keep showing up on Hive and opening up with your keychain or with your Hive signer and logging in. You can do a whole lot more. And oh, by the way, then you're going to see 1,000 articles about Splinterlands. And guess what? That'll remind you to come back and play Splinterlands. So it ends up becoming like a self-fulfilling proposition. And when you mentioned that, that's the thought that came to mind. It's like we do a terrible job, maybe because we get this tribalism about things, and it's like, oh, I'm into Splinterlands, or I'm into Exode, or I'm into Leo Market Talk, or I'm into CTP, and not the cross pollination. Because guess what? It all helps the, like you were talking about, the value. If John leaves CTP and goes plays Exode, that helps Exode, and also in a roundabout way, it's going to help CTP in the long run.
I think it's true. As project owner, our objective is to make a game with an identity, like I said before, because then you attract an audience that is interested in the game, maybe the game first, but you attract a new audience, meaning some people that the blockchain alone, Hive alone, will not be able to get because you attract them because they wanted a game like Exode, so they come to it. And Splitterlands attract players that want to spread Splitterlands. So that is the first step that you described. And then there is a second step that you asked about. What do we do? You have a community here, they have a big community there. Why are we working each in our closet, so to speak? And how do we open all that? Myself, when I saw the games, there is we say reflex in French, so that it may not be the right word, but there is something that we do first, reaction of sorts. I have to think, do they have value? What are their core values? Are they on the game, or are there some indies work on the game, or so passionate guys who work on that, who are like married to the games, who don't go with the money right away 1 minute after, or the first problems they have, they say, oh, it doesn't work. Okay, we'll make another game in 2 months. That's okay. And drop all players. Because I hate this when this happens. This happens a lot. This happens a lot with games that have many players and they drop all people. When we have problems, we have to face them and try to address them for some big time. So, sorry about that, but I have to know who they are, because there is a concept of metaverse that is often talked about. Meaning you have some kind of portal where you can use an asset for something, for another earning. You have another game. Let's say, for instance, we have a creature in Splitterlands that is based on Exode, or Splitterlands has something with Exode, and things interact with each other. So the metaverse itself cannot happen if games do not have the same kind of, solid ground, meaning a team that is dedicated to the games, that won't drop the ball if anything happens, and something solid in its economy. And many games lack this maturity right now. Myself in Exode, I speak of all the concept work of that works compared to the games. I have to deploy more features, of course, to reach that kind of maturity as well. And other games have this kind of audience already, or features are complete in terms of features, but they do not have this solidity, so it will be hard to metaverse with them. Now, this is for one part of things which I call the metaverse, but there is another part which is just speaking about each other. And Hive is a community first. I would like to say that because that's how I came to Hive. Basically, when I started, then I saw, okay, there are these guys who I know who are going into Hive, which is a new thing. And I was just going to start Exode, in the previous production before it split. Also, okay, what do I do? Do I go into Hive? Do I stay there? Okay, I go into Hive. This is where the people I know are. So this means that I did like this because I was feeling into part of a community already. And so we may think, okay, let's drop all kind of business-to-business things and speak about each other. Let's have something where you could click and have a show of games. There was the portal named Big Day who did that. They added the games button. It was 2 years ago. You could click on that and saw that you have assets in several games. And we were one of the first at it, so I was very, very proud of what they did. Yeah, it was an honor that they did. They did Splitterlands, of course, which is just above us. And they did several games. So this was a start where you could say, okay, I have these assets in this game. There is this game as well, and this game as well. I think we should have some kind of plugin of sorts, maybe a proposal. A proposal works really well with that we'll add a layer that works on websites that we could add and show what you have in all games. So if someone in the audience is listening, maybe you should come and work on a proposal. I can't propose a proposal myself because people will say, hey, we need you to work continuously on Exode day and night until you have everything. But this would be a nice proposal to make, actually. And people could make a plugin that we will add. I mean, if you work on plugin like that, it's not a business-to-business thing. We say, okay, if I had something about to make a shout out about, okay, you don't need us, but if we do that, what can we? No, I don't want. It's not that I don't want to enter this stall, but I think it does not work this way. It doesn't work with this kind of protectionism of the business. I think it could be nice as a website plugin or a website script that we just include somewhere in our page that is added as a fixed position to the right or left of screen, and people could click on it and say, okay, I can switch game here, click here and switch games, click here and see my wallet in any game, and I will have a view of all the games that exist. I would add, however, before adding all the games that are on Wax or the blockchain, etc., to try to identify games that have shared some of the kind of commitment. I think that's the word I wanted to find before. So it's a kind of commitment, because we don't want to send players into some kind of traps. They don't need that. They don't need to gross hack even more players than they have. So I think it would be nice, yes.
What about the idea of splinter talk? Even without a token, have you thought of, because you have your Discord, have you thought of spinning up a site or somehow tying into Hive to give a place where people can post their Exode results and do like Splinter Talk for Splinterlands, do the equivalent for Exode, where the community of players, because I'm heavily involved in Leo Finance. John obviously is big into CTP. And these are communities that form around finance and investing and business. And that's interesting and all, but it's a lot different than forming around a game, which is of great interest and probably of greater passion to people who are following that game than business and affiliate marketing and stuff like that. And I think that would be just such a great community builder where there's like exotalk.com or whatever, and people can go there and they can do their blog posts about the game. You can maybe tag some important posts that explain things, and people can go and ask questions and get direction and all that type of stuff. And then, of course, a lot of that stuff becomes eligible. Even if you don't have your own token, they become eligible for Hive rewards. So now newer people are starting to earn Hive and Hive Power and HBD and maybe some other tokens, some one-up tokens or whatever else is out there. And that, helps to immerse them even more into the community, not only the Exode community, but the community that is Hive.
It's a good suggestion because we didn't have that yet suggested to us to add some ways for people to talk with each other. And Exode is a cooperative game with a lot of layers. Recently, in the 2 last weeks, I've wrote one big expert article every 2 days to start speaking about all the features that Exode had but never spoke about. But even after 7 articles like that, there was still many things to say. Exode wants to be played intuitively, but there is a lot happening behind things that you do, even when you say, okay, I know this resource is just up there, I have 10 crew, I can click there. Well, there are many things that happen when you give an order. So it's really a good thing to have talk between our players on some kind of self-help mechanics, but also a good thing to have some kind of discovery between players, because people in a cooperative game like to help each other. They like also to have new people in the alliance and to drop them new cards, to give them some gifts, and to let them get started by sending them a weapon or something they don't have in the starter. And this little gun or rifle or shotgun will be huge for them, because some decks are scientific and don't have weapons, so the first shotgun you have is very useful, of course. So we want to work that way. We have mechanisms that allow people to have cards to draw to others, to give to others, but we did not yet, and this is good that you mentioned that, as a mechanism that help people know each other. So I think it's good. I think it's good. I think we will make that happen.
John will give you all the insight on how to set that stuff up. He knows all the nuts and bolts of it.
Oh yeah, I'm just a technical expert. Technical genius is what they call me. That's yeah. No, it's. I mean, the thing that I really like about it, and just like you said, it's like people know each other, and that is community. And I don't know about you guys, but like I really want everyone to win in this crypto stuff, in this blockchain stuff. Like and the side benefit, I mean, and I'm going to put on my little Hive fanboy hat on, but like when I go and like something from Task, I'm getting 50% back in my pocket. Like no one loses, right? Everyone wins. So that's what's so attractive to these like gaming models, because gaming is competitive. There's supposed to be a winner and loser, but when you get down to it, you're owning your own assets. No one really loses there. Everyone's winning. So it's a community. You know the people that are actually winning. You know the people that are doing good. You know these people. You've built relationships with them. And to me, that's why gaming on blockchain makes so much sense to me. We're not putting money into the pockets of the big developers. We're putting money into the community. We're wanting to see other people win. And maybe it's a utopian society. Maybe we're just, living in a dream world. But I believe it. I believe that everyone can win here, especially with what you just said, is that people know each other. People want to see each other. No one. I don't want to see Task lose. I want to see him win. I hope he wants to see me win. Maybe he secretly wants me to fail at
Well,
life.
I do, but if I can just interject here, do you feel the same about Blaine?
Well, absolutely. I really want him to win because
You downvote him every opportunity at anything.
He downvotes me. Okay, let's be. But see, it's like,
so you're the bigger man.
Right. It's like,
the
happy wife, happy life. Well, it's happy developer, happy life, right? So you want to keep him happy. Developers are very emotional creatures, let's say.
Well, and also Blaine's harder to replace than you. He can find another dude to dance on camera.
You can find a Gecko that'll dance on camera anywhere. But find a developer is one thing. No, it's just going back to that. I think that's what's beautiful about. And yeah, obviously we're all kind of fanboys of Hive and stuff, but generally, other than the maxis, I think everyone wants everyone to win. Like I really do. I think that everyone in crypto, when it comes down to it, no one's like, oh, this guy made more money than me, or this guy has more assets than me. It's like, no, I'm gonna win. They're gonna win. We're all gonna win, and that's why I think blockchain gaming has this massive future because. Yeah.
Well, and one thing that's interesting, John, about that, going one step further, I have more high power than you, but you kick my ass in Splinterlands in terms of the assets you're holding. Dude, it's a very low bar, so don't get
I know, like at least I'm kind of competing with you for Hive power. I mean, I got half of it, but
But then you don't have anywhere near what I have in Exo.
Or Leo.
And I don't have what you have in CTP. And so it's just, people start to gravitate to where they like. And Elindos, I do have a question for you, because I know last time we talked about some different games, and I don't know if you have time to follow it, if you're staying up on it, but these guys just seem to be movers and shakers. And I just wanted to get your opinion of CyberX. Have you looked at that, and what are some of the thoughts you see there, if you will?
So about CyberX, I've watched it last year, I think. So where are they now? Because I've tested a few games last year, but I haven't tested CyberX again.
I don't. They're not. I don't think they have
playable
anything out
beta
yet in terms of they're about to release their marketplace. They put out a couple videos of what they've designed. That's they may have some closed testers. In fact, I think they do, but they're not open to general use right now. But I was just wondering if you followed some of their blog posts. I mean, they post rather frequently, and they are giving updates, and they seem to be moving in that direction and doing NFT sales and a bunch of different things. So I just was wondering if you followed what they were doing.
No, it's true that you are pointing at something that I do, which is locking myself up into that to work on it. So I've tested a few games. I've also checked a few things on blockchain, but usually, there is a question I described about what are their values, are they committed, where are they now, and I only have few time to continue digging things that are either under threat, ready to show this, or not committed enough for me, or try to sell things because before they do things, which is a necessary step at some point when you're an indie, but not so much for big companies. You have to think about it. They don't need to sell before they make, because they can make. So why are they doing that? So I haven't checked more about salary, so I don't know much. First, I was going to think, okay, is he speaking about CyberX, which is a game on Hive? I think I remember where is that something named as
Yes, CyberX on Hive. Yeah.
Cyberpunk environment. So I was going to think that it was CyberX, but now it's CyberX, which is another thing. I've been in my cave. I've been in the world of the future in exile. I've been working on it, and I did not have yet any reason to go out of it because we're a team working on things here, and we have always something to do and something we should have done, but we haven't yet done. so I'm late. I'm late on many things, but it will still be time to catch up. I know. So the last time CryptoManiacs asked me, is there any other game you have seen that you would like to speak about? It's a bit hard for me to recommend other games until they have shown all the values I want to identify in them. I don't want people to go there. But yes, I've tested a few games I've seen one in the blockchain that should not be named. They don't even use it for the game either because Ethereum cannot hold games, but there's layer 2 and layer 3, so we have another layer invented for something when something does not work, and you make another layer. It's true, it needs to be done this way, but I've tested them, but I don't know if I should really recommend to our Hive community to go there. I think we should identify the good guys, because we are still among good guys. And I think the good guys saw the values that enable other good guys to try being good, to try being the good guys too. If this was the case with me, I discovered I have to other players on other projects, and this made me participating to it. It was this time thanks to split announcement that we often mention and quote on Hive, of course. So they showed an example, and to me, the secretary was so very open, so we could talk to him. And to me, this kind of spirit convinced me that I could find my identity there too. So I think we should keep it that way and keep our people on Hive to build value and then show this value to the outer world. And then we'll attract people for the value that we bring. Because there are many people that have different intentions out there. I spoke once to someone about blockchain and what was happening there and the games that were launching and how the project launched and how they would do that and say, oh, they're doing that, this is bad because only 50 players will be happy and there will be 1,000 players unhappy with that. So we should not. So, but this guy, I forgot that he had the marketing background. So he just did the same thing. So, it is a shortcut, of course, but people know that there is a lot of money in blockchain. So what we want to know now, say, where is the value? With the term value we have defined before, that is not exactly money, it is long-term value. So where is the long-term value? And it is what we must try to notify. There is something I would like to add some points. It is a board of excellence. It could be CryptoManiacs that would say to a game with a score of long-term value that they gave to the game. What is the perceived long-term value, of course, with score of about 100 or some note from 1 to 5. But something that would rate something with experts that can say, okay, this game is long-term, but is also reliable, so it won't make you unhappy. And we give them 4 out of 5 because that, or a 3 because that, or 5 out of 5. I would like that to happen, actually, to have people know what projects they should be interested into, because they can trust people, and these people need to analyze website with the knowledge that we have on blockchain. And this knowledge, blockchain moves a lot. It moves a lot. It moves every week we have something new, and we start to understand what is long-term value. We need to share that more.
Yeah, and ultimately, as John was alluding to, it all brings value to Hive. And when you start onboarding, when you start to get loyal people, when you start to have NFTs, when you start to get trading, when you start to get excitement and all that stuff, it all ties in together. And not everything's going to filter out into Hive in a big way. Obviously, your main objective is to build value in Exo, not to build value on Hive. If it helps, that's great, but your focus is on Exo. Um, but when people have options, they will often utilize those options, and especially if it's in conjunction with what they're doing, and the excitement that they get and the rewards they get and the opportunity. And I'm like John, I want to see everybody succeed. I mean, it's there's so much possible abundance with all of this. Whether you look in gaming, whether you look at what Three Speak's doing, or the Speak Network guys, excuse me, what they're doing, whether you look at video creation, whether you look at listeners and what's going on with John's other project, there's just so much going on that the potential is enormous for everybody.
But what you say, John, that what you said here, so here it asks that everyone must win. Everyone can win. I saw something happening on blockchain. This was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I saw that. It was on another game. About the world news on the world that is a bit in turmoil. And there are people on blockchain who took the decision to ban accounts from several countries. Blockchain games did that, and blockchain tools did that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, I think. Yeah.
So, yes, that is the hot topic of today. So now our viewers need to go up because we're talking about the hot thing. Okay, I wanted to talk about that because this struck me. It struck me very hard when I saw that because blockchain is a ledger. It is a public ledger. When someone has an NFT, it is because it is put there on the public ledger. This ledger somehow belongs to everyone and to no one. So there is no politics in a public ledger. It's a database of sorts. So it's very shocking when people decide to ban a country or several countries, because there's several countries at once, Ecuador, Iran, etc., all banned together. Because when I say I need to protect the value of people, it means that I won't decide myself to say, okay, I decide that all these people will be dropped and will have zero value for me. It's not the way that I can protect people, because there are people who just who trusted me and trust me not to do that. Because the next day I'm French, and the next day it could be me. It could be from another website. And so all my NFTs go to zero value because I could not use them. So as project owners, this is a shout out that I want to make. We have to protect the value of our people, of our players, of our members, and to go all the way we can to that. So that's a shout out I wanted to make, because this was not an Hive. Fortunately, that I saw that happening. And maybe if someone in other projects is doing that, but in exact we don't want that to happen. Personally, we do what we want to support people everywhere, okay. But as a project owner, we must protect our members.
Mm.
I was really struck when I saw that because I did not expect that to happen on blockchain.
Yeah, at least for those countries. I mean, I'm leading the Ban Canada charge on Hive because I mean it's like
You can't
everybody
have,
should ban Canada.
yeah, you can't have Canadians because we just ruin things for everybody. So
You and the Portuguese, you stir up so much stuff with your
oh,
with your
Eliana, watch out! Don't get on Eliana's bad side. She will
your your
rage.
your, your non-divisiveness. It's like you
Yes.
guys are just
Well,
so neutral.
well,
You're
you know.
like take a side once in a while, piss somebody off.
Yeah, we're pissing off our own people. That's what we're doing in Canada. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's every government now. It seems, or most
Mm.
governments are doing that. But anything else, John? Any questions in the chats or
No,
anywhere?
no. Good crowd on Vim too, and on Twitter. Lots of people were out on
You
Twitter.
might want to
Awesome.
drop in Lindas's links to where they can find his game and where they can find him, and it's at Elindos on
Yeah,
Hive.
yeah.
Yes. You can find Exod, which is a science fiction game, on exod.io.
So I will
So
put the
from
link
there,
up.
you just need a starter to play. Maybe I can click on the chat here if it is not the same interface that I use. Oh, yes, thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
And you just need a starter to play that costs only $10. And you can also find a Discord on the website if you want to talk to people first. Exod is a game on Hive. It is a game in alpha. The alpha starters won't be sold in beta, and they give special origin cards, special story cards on crew and ship that you can only have here. So it's not a call to just jump in the ship right now. You can have some time. There will be a few weeks before we get to beta because of the work I want to do in the game before that. But it's still a good time to come. And the community will be very happy to have you. It is a cooperative game. And we are releasing features very often. You can check out the development log, you can check resources, and you can check player guides too. So welcome to Exod. It's a new world, very far from this planet. I hope you can
There's your question right there. When will we see Exode in wax from the big Lawaski? I love the name.
Yes.
Yeah.
So technically, we wanted to complete our colonization loop, which is the game that people play on planets first, and then we'll update evacuation, which is the first scene, the first gameplay, because we want it to be explained better to players. Because before we want to add players, we wanted just to deliver on these ideas we already had to put into evacuation, which is showing a tutorial, a new tutorial video. Maybe I even access to the player guides too, directly in-game, for instance. And when we have done these upgrades, it will be ready for us to apply for wax. I already have an account there and the collections there. So it's a matter of weeks because we would want that to happen before beta, for instance, and beta is aimed a bit in 2 or 3 months now because we had some things we wanted to mature first, but July, August has a good targets for beta right now. What works to happen slightly before that.
There you go. Well, sir, thank you again. I know we're supposed to do multiple badges for guests to the show, but I'm just giving one badge out to people. It's too complicated for me to give.
I don't have a level 2 badge.
No, well, it's the way it's set up. I can give you little numbers of how many times you can get the badge, and I just gave everyone one badge. If they showed up, they got a badge, and I'm not that smart. I like things simple, so. Apologies for not giving you 3 badges. You get the one. Everyone gets one. Me and Task don't even have one. Like
I wanted to grant my new badge by coming here.
I know. I mean, like, yeah, rage quit now, man. I mean, you know, but, dude,
it's great.
It's always good to have you, man. And thank you for everything you're doing for your community, for the Hive community, for gaming on the blockchain. I mean, this is exciting stuff, and I think people will be very happy with your finished product and everything you've been doing. So I know Task is a raving fan. I have a lot of people in CTP that went over to it and started playing it. So thank you for that, and thanks for coming by and hanging out with us. The people that no one come to see, Task and John. So
Thank you for making me the honor for coming, and thank you for the audience out there. Don't forget to ask questions. We are there for you guys. And thank you for what you are doing here at CryptoManiacs every week, because it also makes our blockchain more strong, and with people knowing each other and each other project as well. So it's really the thing to do. You did the thing to do. You do the right thing. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for. Don't forget exit.io for people who want to scroll to find the link here there to find us. Thanks, everyone.
for sure.
Thank you, Lindos.